How's it going this morning, guys? Welcome to the weekend. End of your free shit army money from the feds is done, huh? Doesn't look like they're gonna fucking give you any more of that. Hopefully, we'll start seeing the ramifications of unlimited money coming from the high priests of the religion that we call the dollar. I do look forward to it. I am afraid of it as well. But with that being said, I wanted to speak to something that I see happening right now, particularly with Ampleforth. Ampleforth is so much like what those of you who know me from back in the day, the hourglass contract is about, or what I like to have called in the past the virtual deposit contract. These contracts where, as price goes up, those holding those tokens receive a double whammy. If the price of Ethereum was going up, or the price of whatever crypto was in this hourglass contract was going up, you would be not only gaining more actual tokens of whatever was the base of it, but you would be earning dividends from it. And even when the price would go down, you would earn dividends from it. So these virtual deposit contracts, they're essentially just what I've always claimed to. It's a really interesting definition of participating in immutable transparency, because it's, by definition, it's a Ponzi scheme. But if you looked at what Ponzi did, if he had those stamps back in the day to collateralize all the wealth that he had accumulated by its virtual value, Ponzi would have never been a criminal. He would have been a genius. And these contracts take that and turn it into a safe math equation and make it equitable, so that those who may end up holding the last bag would be the biggest beneficiaries of said. Now, I can't speak to Ampleforth doing that. If Ampleforth goes all the way to the floor, those holding those empty bags ultimately could go to zero. So, based on what I understand, if enough people jump out of it. But by the other end of the coin, on the other end of the coin, the idea that if enough people participate in AMPL, and the market capitalization gets up to what a sovereign nation has, insofar as like a wealth is concerned, this could be a totally new paradigm in what money is defined as. And now that fucking banks are allowed to hold in custody your crypto, God knows, Ampleforth could be fucking huge, exclusively based in its participation, as the manipulation cannot come through the math that's in this contract. If the Fed decides to print up a bunch of fucking money, or the government or whoever decides to print up a bunch of free money for the participants in that nation, it's going to definitely serve the people that get it first, right? So let's imagine, if you will, if the Fed were to print up those trillions of dollars and stick it into Ampleforth. Sure, when they stick it in there initially, they're going to be the biggest holders if it's in the single wallet. But if they distribute that $2 trillion, $5 trillion, $6 trillion into Ampleforth through the intermediaries, like they were distributing the money to their crony friends, you and me and all, dude, Ampleforth would make their power irrelevant, because it would erode it by the sheer distribution of it, especially if the price is above $1.52, $3. The redistribution of wealth would be just ridiculous, and because of this, and the fact that I'm seeing the wallets grow, I wouldn't be surprised if we're over 14,000 wallets today on what is it, July 25th, 2020. The participation that's going on in Ampleforth is just ridiculous, based on the incentive of the rebases. And if you don't understand a single variable asset, I mean, if you don't understand a single variable asset, you don't understand gold, you don't understand stocks, you don't understand fucking Bitcoin. These are single variable assets that the only thing that's variable is the price. And through that, everything's very easily manipulated. But when you have a multiple variable asset, where the holders of that asset, the more people that participate in it, those holders earn actually more of the supply and are benefited or not benefited by the price, by the speculation. So it's a really interesting, not necessarily equalizer, but a scale, how they measure things. When you have to adjust your measurements based on the supply and how it adjusts, throws a whole wrench into the system and really brings me to the idea that this is a project that, through participation and immutable transparency, I don't see how this isn't something that could totally help regulate the regulators comparatively to like your Bitcoin or your just the Ethereum or any of these proof of staking contract, proof of stake or proof of work, or even proof of concept. All these things all have the same a variable, which is a single variable, which is price. And even with the manipulation of these decentralized finance opportunities with borrowing and lending, it just exacerbates kind of the single asset variable problems that are created. And I don't know if you can wrap your head around what I'm saying, but ultimately, look, I'm going to have a video in the doobly-doo below. I don't know if you follow Kevin James. He's got these shorts. They're fucking amazing. They're funny as hell. And they're very relevant to today. Particularly this latest one that I'm going to be sharing with you about the fact that we found some out-of-this-world materials that the Pentagon's going to start releasing. It should be really compelling as far as what the hell how the hell the public is going to react and how it's going to be released. That's not very relevant comparatively to the message Kevin James has in this video is that you and me, as human beings, we're pieces of shit. We do bad things to each other. Every fucking one of us does. I don't care who you are. There's no way in hell you've gone through life into an adulthood and not fucking hurt somebody, intentionally or unintentionally. But by the same token, when shit hits the fan and a building is burning, humans have a spark of light in them. Every fucking one of us. And when a building is burning and somebody's in it, there's some fucking stranger who's going to run in there and save that person. That light is in every one of us. And we need to focus on that light. We need to focus on how wonderful it is to be human and how wonderful the opportunity is, how amazing it is to have the opportunity to help another person and then actually do it. And the rewards for doing stuff like that are incalculable. And that incalculable figure of us being human is much more relevant than I believe it is. Much more relevant than all the people running around telling you you should or should not wear masks and then fucking telling you how wrong you are and how divided we are on behalf of the stories. You know? The science, when I was a kid, science was many different things trying to come to the same conclusion and then constantly being readjusted based upon and now we have the science. Like, if you're not worshiping fucking Fauci and the words that come out of his mouth, there is a whole plethora of the population that thinks you're an idiot and thinks that you're the problem. And then there's a whole plethora of us that are fucking pissed as hell that he was the only cocksucker who didn't get to wear a mask, who even got to show up at the first baseball game, throw a baseball. The guy never has thrown a baseball in his life. He's a miserable mess when it comes to everything. If we're going to gauge him on his human, it's just disgusting. The fact that we pay attention to him and the fact that we're trying to, you and me as individuals, they need us more than them. We're the ants. And the cockroaches could not live without the fucking ants. And the fact that we're worshiping a cockroach like the fucking priest, almighty priest in Fauci, and the religion that he's fucking perpetrating on you, fear, and how we're all responding to it speaks volumes to how disconnected we all are. And so does so much of what speculation in the crypto space or stocks, bonds, anything that we're trying to do to create value so that we can store our time and then do better things with it. I think that Ampleforth, if it gets into the like hundreds of thousands of wallets and market capitalization gets over, a few billion, maybe $10 billion, dude, the cockroaches are going to be fucking freaking out if there's just 100,000 ants do this. And when I speak to cockroaches, I speak to political parasites, those that control the monetary system, those that have the guys in ties till they die, who tell you what to think, who tell you what to believe. Those are the cockroaches. And everybody watching this that doesn't have, so much wealth they could set up many different families for the rest of their lives, if you're not one of them, you're an ant. And you need to recognize the light you have inside of you, and not how the other ants are going to fuck you over, or how you can fuck over the other ants so you can become closer to a cockroach. You know, we're all ants. And I really appreciate Ampleforth. And I guess I wanted to also say about how it's not like P3D because, or the virtual, or the hourglass virtual deposit contracts, in that the people that run it, they have a face. You know, and the fact that they're not regulating their constituency, the fact that I can come in here and speak about Ampleforth in the bad ways that I do and not get kicked off their Telegram, the fact that I can come in here and speak to Ampleforth in a critical manner and still be welcome in a community, dude, I mean, come on. I've been kicked off every fucking Telegram. Every fucking crypto face thinks, every crypto person with a face thinks I'm a loser. And they know damn well that following me is going to get them wrecked. You know, I'm not wrecked right now. I'm still in the game. And I still believe there's a better way. And I believe that Ampleforth is, hey, there's a fucking experiment insofar as like how to store and trade value and determine what that is. It's compelling, so compelling, and I truly appreciate the opportunity to be able to speak to it and have somebody like you listen to this. Thank you very, very much. My thought process, I'm just sitting here ramble, that's all I do. I really appreciate the comments. Hey, I love the fact that I'm close to about 100 new members, 100 new followers, or 100 new subscribers, I guess this is YouTube. With 100 new subscribers, you know, maybe I can have some conversations without all my angst with people that can really, you know, make this whole thing come to fruition as far as, like, you know, regulating the regulators and participating in immutable transparency in order to do that. And if you're somebody who believes that transparency and immutability are a problem and you're in crypto, you're a fucking wannabe cockroach. It's time to be an ant and recognize that we need all the ants. You know? We need to get together and show that we have control of who we are, and we're not fucking subjected to a bunch of fucking cockroaches like Anthony Fauci. Guy's a fucking cockroach, and if you don't believe that, stay the fuck away from me.